We'll be ready around 6:15.
All right, we are live on that. You can begin, sir.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:04. I'd like a motion to go into executive session for Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5, parentheses A, parentheses 1, parentheses 2. Number 1 is closed pursuant to that general law. Session pertaining to litigation and specifically for a discussion of litigation in a town versus the town. Number 2 is closed pursuant to Rhode Island General Law, the same general law, parentheses A, parentheses 2, sessions pertaining to litigation specifically for a proposed consent judgment in a NEMPO versus Town of Coventry. Mr. Solicitor,
I'd like to make that motion.
I second the motion.
Have a motion, we have a second. Mr. Manager, roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Cody,
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon,
Yes.
Mrs. Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. McGee.
Yes.
Mr. Lockyer is absent.
Okay, Solicitor, if you'd be so kind as to take over for the...
I gotta kill the video. Give me 2 minutes,
Yeah.
2 seconds, and then we can get going.
Kerry, you need to, I'm sorry. Let me shut up.
all the time, so this is even obligated. But then the answer was, not, they believe that,
I can join. I think that's in the latter part of the meeting. The council proposed. I have no problem joining. I'm going to be changing locations, but I can join later if you want.
All right, we are on Zoom.
Okay, if anyone prefers you to join later, Nick, if you would join when you change your location, that would be fine. I'm not. Excuse me.
Mr. Town Manager, could you call me when we get near the town council proposed amendments?
Mr. Manager, did you get?
Nick, what would you like?
Could you just give me a call when we get near the town council proposed amendments?
Yes, I will do that.
And then I will set up and I will be able to take any questions whatsoever. I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Go back to broadcast.
Thanks, Nick.
The chair will entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
I make a motion to come out of executive session.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. All in favor, Madam Clerk, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Harry McGee,
Yes.
Greg LeBoissonniere, absent. Gary Cody,
Yes.
Ann Dixon,
Yes.
Deb Bacon.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. The chair will entertain a motion to seal minutes of executive session.
Make a motion to seal the minutes of the executive session.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
And we have a second. All in favor, Madam Clerk?
Harry McGee,
Yes.
Greg LeBoissonniere, Gary Cody,
Yes.
Ann Dixon,
Yes.
Deborah Bacon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carries. People, like to call this meeting to order at 6:42. Excuse us for being a little bit late, but the public may watch this meeting via Zoom. Also, I'd like to have you do a roll call for the meeting, Madam Clerk.
Harry McGee,
Yes. Here.
Greg is absent. Gary Cody,
Here.
Ann Dixon,
Here.
Deborah Bacon,
Here.
Ed Wazika,
Here.
Nicholas Gorham.
Here.
We also have Dave D'Agostino,
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the pledge of allegiance. I ask that you all stand for the pledge of allegiance, and I will read it. Thank you. I pledge of allegiance to the flag
of the United
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you for that. The next item on the agenda, Madam Clerk, is B3, please.
Approval of Town Council minutes, June 22nd, 2020, June 27th, 2020, and July 8th, 2020.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion. We have a second. Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Harry McGee,
Yes.
Gary Cody,
Yes.
Ann Dixon,
Yes.
Deborah Bacon.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. The next item on the agenda, Madam Clerk, item B4, please.
A report by Raftelis regarding sewer use rate study.
Okay, Mr. Manager, you have anything to say on that before we, I don't know if Raftelis is on or not, but.
No, we were, they were scheduled to be on last Monday. We had been trying to get them to be able to, they needed to switch some things around and make tonight. We were hoping they were going to do it, but we had to keep them on the agenda just in case they were able to. Unfortunately, they weren't. But I'd rather be safe than sorry by keeping them on, even though it was iffy that they were going to be able to make it. Unfortunately, they can't, so it'll be at the next council meeting that they will give that report.
Okay, is there any need to table it, or we'll just move on? There's no need to table, I believe. We'll just move on.
The report.
Okay, Madam Clerk, item C1, please.
Approval of consent judgment as amended in Onepo versus Town of Coventry, case number 2016-57.
Let me excuse that. When we did have a meeting on Thursday, I believe, and we did adopt that amendment, so I'm going to ask to move on to C2, please.
Resolution affirming the award of a contract for 2020 Ford F-550 cab and chassis, and a resolution to award a contract of a fit-out for a 2020 Ford F-50 cab chassis to include a platform body with hoist, a 9-foot reversible snow plow, and 2.5 CY poly sander.
Okay, Mr. Manager, do you have any comments on that?
This one's all in DPW Director McGee's hands. I wouldn't even know where to begin on this truck.
Is he here? I don't see his name.
Here.
Okay, Kevin?
Kevin?
Yeah, hello, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Now
we can hear.
Okay. Thank you for entertaining this evening. Based upon our last couple of meetings, we had the funds encumbered from the 2019-2020 budget. We have until August 31st to expend those funds. As you are all aware, the Public Works does not have a line item in our operating budget for vehicles or equipment. That's left to the capital budget, and for the last several years, we've had no capital budget. Unfortunately, we have vehicles now that are aging 15 to 20 years old. The vehicle that we're looking to replace did not pass inspection in February. The chassis is rotted. It's 18 years old. And this is a primary piece of equipment for Frontline for the snow plowing process. We had a bid through the Sourcewell, which was then formerly known as National Joint Powers. They provided us a price. However, by the time we got a chance to put the order in, they stopped taking orders in mid-July for the 2020 vehicles. So they sent us to their distributors, and we spoke to Tasca, which is our local distributor also. They did not have any on hand. Dejana had one on order, but it would not get here in time for the expenditure. The only other company they had was Gervais Ford out of Ayer, Mass. They had a 2020. They have a 2020 on the ground that meets the specifications. They met the NJPA pricing of $51,678 when I inquired for them for the resolution. However, on Monday of last, they sent me an email which I sent to the town manager. Because it's their last vehicle, they're offering us a municipal special. Instead of the $51,000, it's going to be $49,757, and that's what we're before you. It's an additional $2,000 savings than what we had expended, and we're asking for the council to consider this for replenishing our fleet.
All right, so that's good. We actually got a little chat on what we were thinking. I don't know if any council members have any questions. I know we had an explanation last meeting, last month, about how we're making this fund available. John gave us a rundown on it. And I understand the money has to be expended by the end of the month. And like you said, our fleet is aging. So I'm going to open it up to any council people if they have any questions. I see Mr. Cody waving his hand. So Mr. Cody, go ahead, ask any questions.
Kevin, I see you want to fit it out with a hoist on the back. Would that be a flatbed with a crane body on it?
No, this is a separate. The fit out is separate from them to a different company, but the fit out was actually be a stake body or flatbed that the dump. So the hoist, instead of having the hoist on a dump truck, it had the hoist on a flatbed.
Okay, so we could still put a sander on it.
Exactly.
But we could also use it as a stake body that would dump into the bins.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
The truck we're replacing is also a stake body, so that's why we're trying to keep this same truck type in a replacement module.
Yeah, probably that older truck that you have that the guys are using to do heavy pickups and stuff.
No, not even that. Believe it or not, it's another truck it's off the road. We can't even use it on the road. It's been taken off the road because it couldn't pass inspection back in February. The other two trucks for bulk pickup. That's another whole story.
Okay, I see Deb Bacon had a question or two. Go ahead.
Hi, Kevin. I just have two quick questions. Will that have the town seal on the vehicle?
Will it be painted? Are you saying?
No, I know it'll be white, but will we have the town
Absolutely.
seal?
All of our trucks have it.
Is that part of this price?
No, we do that. We do that locally. It's a couple $100 to do the striping and the logo.
Okay, so that'll just be a couple $100.
Yes.
Okay. And will this truck also be equipped with the fleet management system?
Yes, it will.
Okay. All right. So I guess the other thing before we put on this, we're going to have to change the resolution, the dollar amount. That'll have to be changed. And can we also see that new, because we don't have that from Gervais. So can we get that forwarded to council just so we can see that amount? I think you said 49,757.
49,757. Yes, the town manager has this.
Okay.
I had given it to him last Tuesday when we were going to have the meeting, and I'm sure he can provide it to you.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure we have that in the packet, and then we just have to change the amount on the resolution.
Correct.
Okay, are there any other questions, comments?
Nope.
Being none, I will entertain a motion. If it's approved, change the amount on the resolution. That's it. So I'm looking forward to the chair entertain a motion.
I'd like to make the motion for approval with the changes in the price of the truck as stated.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and we have a second. All in favor, Madam Clerk?
Terry McGee,
Yes.
Gary Cody,
Yes.
Ann Dixon,
Yes.
Deb Bacon.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next item on the agenda would be item C3, Madam Clerk.
Resolution authorizing the interim town manager to award a bid for curbside soft recycling.
I don't see that. Are you looking at the right one, Madam Clerk? I'm looking at C3.
That was an addition from last week. It's on the new.
Yeah, I didn't copy that one, so I apologize. Yes. Any comments, any questions from any of our council members?
I do have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Dan.
It sounds like we are switching from the pink bags to the green bags now, which is fine. It looks like we'll get a little bit more money back. However, when we have the pink bags, people are always questioning, why aren't the pink bags being picked up? How do I contact someone? No one knew anything. So I'm wondering if you could make a request, Mr. Manager, to ask the curbside soft recycling if when they have their green bags printed, if they could put some kind of contact on the bag so that if people have a bag and they have a question, they'll be able to have a resource to follow through on. I think it would be very, very helpful rather than just a plain bag. People also don't know that, well, I want to ask a question. Will people be able to bring their green bags to the transfer station like we did the pink bags?
Devin?
If I may,
Go ahead.
if I may, yes, the company can put the phone numbers on it. We did have the simple recycling, the pink bags. We had all the information here. It's on our website and our Facebook page also. Yes, we're going to change the color of the bin that we have in the transfer station from pink to green, so they will be able to drop it off. And again, the only reason why we're making a change is the other company, Simple Recycling, just defaulted, which you folks voted to allow the manager to terminate the contract. While I still have the floor, if you don't mind, if we can, going back to the prior resolution, we did not address the fit out for that truck. You guys approved the truck purchase, but not the fit out, which was the second portion of that. So if you could kindly consider that, I would appreciate it.
Right now we're on the green bags, so I think we can come back to the fit out once we conclude the discussion on the green bags.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. I did not, that skipped by me, but we will go back to that when we're finished with this, Kevin. Did you answer the questions, Ms. Dixon?
No, because I want to know just what will be on the green bags. I understand that it's going to be on the DPW website, but people don't always go to that website. And I used to see a lot of pink bags sitting on the street, and I never even understood what was the pickup cycle. I don't even understand what the pickup cycle is on this one, because with the other bid, it's going to be some kind of program on the transfer station trucks, so that if they saw a bag, they could put it, and the company would know when to do a pickup. But this company does not have that kind of notification or communication. So I'm not sure how often the green bags are going to be picked up, whether someone's going to follow the transfer station truck or not. So that was unclear in this proposal. And also, people need to understand what the pickup cycle is going to be and how they can contact someone if there's a problem.
Kevin, can you go over that?
I can. The pickup cycle has been and will continue to be on the same trash route, recycling route, as their normal. If they're on a Monday route, that's when the bags will be picked up. That is the same as the pink bags, the simple recycling was supposed to do, and they continuously kept falling on her face on picking them up. One of the reasons why we can see why they decided to default on the contract. But it will be picked up when their trash is picked up. They will have a van in town every day because their facility is located next door in West Warwick, and they will have a van here every day on the particular route to pick them up. If there's somebody's missed, as before, they can call our office and we can contact them and make sure it gets done if their efforts to get them to pick it up fails.
Okay, do your questions get answered, Ms. Dixon?
Well, I can understand why the pink bag wasn't being picked up. I mean, I ended up going to the transfer station all the time to bring a pink bag, and was wondering what was happening. I hope this company provides better service, because some of those pink bags were staying weeks on the street.
So do I.
That's why they're no longer here.
Yeah, but I mean, I do think that some kind of information on the bag. Kevin, are you saying no information can be put on the bag whatsoever?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I'm saying that will be on the bags. We will make sure the contact number is on the bag along with the company's name and they'll be able to know it's for the town of Coventry. So
That's fantastic. Thank you, Kevin.
you're welcome.
Okay, I see Mrs. Bacon has a question.
Yes, thank you. Kevin, what is the tonnage? Was it 5 cents per ton? What was it again? I don't recall.
What this company is proposing is 5 cents per pound.
Okay,
Yeah.
I believe I read an article that the same, and I'm not, I'd have to go and pull it again, but I think they were offering more like 12 cents in West Warwick. So are we able to negotiate a higher number?
This company was not the company that bid in West Warwick, and that
Okay.
did not follow through for more than 1 year. So there was problems in West Warwick because of that. This is a legitimate number. We were getting paid 2 cents per pound from Simple Recycling. This is 2.5 times more than we were getting before. Plus, it's taking that tonnage out of our waste stream, so we're not paying to dispose of it.
Okay, now, are they gonna do the same thing? Because I know with the pink bags, you could put, clothing that was basically just trash. It wasn't, no one could use it again. So,
That's correct.
okay, so it's exactly the same as well, almost exactly the same, as the pink bags.
Soft recycling, yes. The only thing they will not include is Simple Recycling will allow you to put hair dryers or small appliances in. This will not. This will just be soft recyclables, textiles.
Okay, so just like clothing and things like that. Okay, would we be able to have them come before council and give some sort of a presentation and introduce everyone to the, we could meet them and, the residents could actually maybe ask some questions?
I'm sure they can. They're local and they're very ambitious to try to get forward. And they even indicated that when this company, Simple Recycling, is terminated after August 9th, even though they needed a couple months to get up to speed, they will bring their trucks here and collect the pink bags until they're on full, which is September. But they're willing to do that at no charge for us.
Okay, so how, I guess, Ed, how can we get that information out so to have people put their pink bags out instead of putting them in the trash and put them out?
We can, we can still continue to put that out on our Facebook page and our website that we are still continuing with the pink bags. We're not stopping it. We are now continuing. Simple Recycling is still picking up in Coventry, but they're not paying us for it. So
okay.
that's going to terminate as of August 9th when their contract ends.
Okay. All right.
We could also do a town-wide call non-emergency 911 database, but the regular database, and we could do a call to all of the households advising them that we're now switching over to green bags and the basic information on that we can do once this is ready to kick off or the week before it's ready to kick off. So we can throw out a reverse 911 call minus the emergency numbers.
Okay, I was going to say, yeah, make sure it's not emergency. We don't need it.
We don't need problems.
No. All right. So could we, Kerry and Ed, could we have this company come before council pretty soon?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if we're going to be off Zoom meetings soon, but when this is probably in the month of September, hopefully the new contract will start up, and we certainly will consider that on the agenda. Like I said, I don't know whether we'll be live meetings or we'll still be via Zoom, but yeah, absolutely. Maybe in September when the contract and everything is changed, we can do that. And in the meantime, it's a good idea to do that emergency call and put things on the website. So that'd be great.
And then when we set up that, we can have the residents ask questions because they're probably going to have a lot of questions, and this way we could all get it all out and open one meeting.
Not a problem. Okay. Thank you.
Kevin, tell them to bring green bags when they come for their presentation and give them out. Maybe if we advertise free green bags, people will come to the meetings.
I'm sure. Right now, they're looking for a award so they can go forward and engage the company to print the bags. And I'm sure that having that time frame, I will make sure that I'll call them tomorrow. Let them know that you wish to have them in front of you folks, and then we'll move forward with that. So hopefully, the end of August, first part of September.
Thank you.
Okay. With that being said, the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
We have a second. All in favor, Madam Clerk?
Harry McGee,
Yes.
Gary Cody,
Yes.
Ian Dixon,
Yes.
Deb Bacon.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We will go back to item C2 two. I didn't realize that there was two sections to this, and the next one is a resolution for the fit out for the Ford F-550 cab and chassis that was already approved. So are there any questions from the council? This is pretty standard. We have the information on the sander and the plow and everything. So are there any questions? DPW Director while he's here.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
We have a second. All in favor, Madam Clerk?
Carrie McGee,
Yes.
Gary Cody,
Yes.
Ian Dixon,
Yes.
Deb Bacon.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Kelly.
ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, the next item, I believe, would be item C4, if I'm correct.
Affirming the purchase of 2 police SUV vehicles and portable radios.
Okay, Mr. Manager, is our police chief with us?
Chief Heist is with us, and again, this is the same funding formula that we used on the DPW truck. It's putting the funds from last year, and I'll let the chief explain about the vehicles and the radios and the need.
Chief Heist, are you with us?
I am.
Okay,
Good evening.
If you want to, I think we pretty much understand it. We have it in our package, but if you just want to give us a quick rundown on how the funds are being set and the 2 police vehicles are being purchased, it's all yours.
Sure. We're looking to buy those through an MPA, Greater Boston Police Council. Be 2 vehicles. Currently, our fleet, half of them are aging. We have 20% of them is over 75,000 miles, and 30% of them are over 100,000 miles. So these would assist us in replacing some of the aging vehicles. We're looking for.
All right, we have the estimates from the company. I'm going to open it up to any council members if they have any questions on the first resolution concerning the vehicles. Yes, Ms. Dixon.
When I read the purchase agreement, it seems like 2 police vehicles are going to have radios. So are these 15 radios in addition to the 2 that are coming with the police vehicles, or are 2 of those 15 radios going to be going into the police vehicles?
In regards to the radios, the 15 radios are portables that the officers carry.
Okay.
The other 2 are actually installed in the vehicles.
Okay, so there'll be 2 installed in the vehicles you're purchasing, but the others are just portable. Okay.
Yes, the officers carry them on them.
Understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, there are other questions from council members. Yes,
Yeah,
Mrs.
Chief.
Go ahead, Mrs. Bacon.
I just, I guess it's for, is Nick still on? It's
No.
the resolution. Oh, and Dave's on. Yes, Dave. It was a little confusing when I read it. We're definitely getting 2 vehicles, because it says 1 2020 Ford Interceptor SUVs, and then it just in parentheses says the $33,981, and then it gives the total. So it doesn't have to say that we're purchasing 2, does it?
Yes.
No, because you have it in the agenda, and it's all.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't going to be any type of an issue.
No, that's sufficient.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we've seen, if there's no other questions, the chair entertain a motion.
I make
Motion.
a motion. Okay, sorry.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor, Madam Clerk?
Carrie McGee,
Yes.
Gary Cody,
Yes.
Ian Dixon,
Yes.
Deb Bacon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the motion for the vehicles carries. The next one will be the.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, you're welcome. The next one will be the portable radios. I believe the separate motions, so we'll entertain a motion for that.
Motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Are there any discussion on the radios? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Carrie McGee,
Yes.
Gary Cody,
Yes.
Ian Dixon,
Yes.
Deb Bacon.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks, Chief.
Well, actually, we have another one, A5. I think, Chief, you're in on this one too. Madam Clerk, could you please read C5? I'm sorry, not A5, C5.
Resolution authorizing Town of Coventry to consent to mutual aid agreement with Town of East Greenwich, Town of Forster, Town of Scituate, Town of West Greenwich, and Town of West Warwick with respect to its police departments.
Okay, when we do accept the motion, we were going to do them all at the same time. But Chief, if you would give us a quick explanation. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Give us a quick explanation for the need for this.
Sure. These allow us to provide mutual aid to the towns that border us. In addition, that's an accreditation requirement, so we would need to have that approved. They've been approved by the AG's office as well as our solicitor's office.
Okay, are there any questions, any concerns from any council member? Yes, Councilwoman Dixon.
Thank you. I read through the agreements and I have the following questions. First of all, when we are called to help out another community, such as West Warwick, and one of our officers who is on that assignment works overtime, who pays for the overtime? Is it the city that asked us for the aid, or is it part of our budget?
It's part of our budget.
So how do you account for that in your budget for the year? How do you make estimates of how much overtime there may be if you're called into another community, and it's actually several communities?
Generally, it's not an issue, and then it would go the other way too. So if they're assisting us, which time to time happens with us, it would be on their budget. So it would just fall into our regular overtime budget.
Okay. My next question is, when we are asked to take care of or manage the detainees in our jail cells, who are we actually charging another community for the use of our cells? And
No, we don't charge anyone.
we don't. And what about who pays for the food that this person needs?
It's their responsibility to bring the meal for the prisoner.
So they bring all the meals for the prisoner, and we don't charge anything as long as the person is in those cells of ours. Is that correct?
That's correct. We just house them.
Okay. And what happens if one of our officers is injured on the job when he or she is working in another community? How is that handled?
That'd be handled under us.
And that will be covered by our insurance?
Yes.
Okay, are there any other questions? Ms. Bacon, I see you have a question. You have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, how long are these mutual aids agreements for? Are they a year, or, because I just didn't see.
Every 3 years we have to renew them.
Okay, so do we have to put on here anywhere that they're 3-year agreements? I don't know if that's something for Dave D'Agostino, or is that just standard that these agreements are always 3 years?
No, Counselor, that is pretty standard. These agreements actually follow state statutes pertaining to inter-community agreements. So they max out at 3 years, generally because that's the statutory max length of agreement that can be made, given corporate authorities.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Cody, I see you have a question.
I do. Chief, haven't we in the past rendered mutual aid to surrounding communities if they've had a devastating chain of events within their community, such as a rash of break-ins where they think they may have the perpetrator in a certain neighborhood, or a major car accident, or a major natural disaster? Haven't we in the past rendered mutual aid?
Yes, we have.
I thought so. So this is just continuing the practice that we've had in the past. We are just going to formalize it.
These are actually a renewal. We've had these already in place. It's a renewal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have no questions. So with that being said, the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second the motion.
We have a second. All in favor, Madam Clerk?
Harry McGee,
Yes.
Gary Cody,
Yes.
Ian Dixon,
Yes.
Deb Bacon.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. Keith, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, Madam Clerk, is item C6, please.
Approval of National Grid Verizon pole location request, Allison Avenue, Weaver Hill Road, and Rice City Road.
Okay, I'm gonna have Mr. Manager discuss that. We see these come through quite often, but is there anything special about any of these? Mr. Manager, would you kindly discuss it?
Now, these are routine. We get them all the time, anytime there's a need for a new pole. The only thing that's a little unusual on the Rice City one, that's actually 5 poles that are going in. Typically, they're 1 or 2. This one's just a few more because of the new lines they're running, but these are all standard. The council's been approving these for a number of years now.
Okay, I did see the amount of polls. That's someone's a big expense. But anyway, does anybody have any questions, concerns on the polls? Yes, Councilwoman Bacon.
Just one of them. It says the one on Weaver Hill that's going up a driveway. Is that going up someone's home?
Going up to it, yeah. It's the one that's on our property that is the concern. That one he has to issue his own authorization for it. It's simply the one that's on the town property.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to.
Yeah, but that's where it's going up to I believe it's a new house that's going in there, but it's but we don't cover that. It's on the private property is irrelevant. It's just the one that's going on the town road.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, seeing no other questions, the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, Madam Clerk?
Mary McGee,
Yes.
Gary Cody,
Yes.
Ian Dixon,
Yes.
Deb Bacon.
Yes.
Okay, the next items on the agenda would be, I'm sorry, let me catch up here, would be C7. What I'm gonna do is do 7 and 8 together because they are closely related and we cannot have both of them approved. So I'm gonna ask for Councilwoman Dixon and myself to give an explanation about the amendments that we're putting forward, and then I will entertain a motion to accept one, and the next one will have to be denied via vote, because we would be in quite a mess if both of them were approved, and that really can't happen. So, Madam Clerk, would you read item C7, please, and C8?
Okay, they're ready.
Resolution with proposed ballot question for amendment to Town Charter, Section 8.16, Capital Improvement Budget and Operating Budget Notice of Hearings. 8.18, Adoption of Operating and Capital Improvement Budgets. And 8.19, Amendments after adoption.
Okay, at this time, why don't we just do one at a time? I'll have you do mine when I finish. Councilwoman.
Mr. President, if I could, I
Yes.
just contacted Nick. He wanted to be involved on the ones from the council, and he'll be coming right back online momentarily. If you would indulge and just give him 2 minutes to get in.
Yeah, absolutely, we can do that. Give me a chance to organize my paperwork.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I would like to take 1 minute away from the meeting, may I? While we're
Yes.
waiting for Mr. Gorin. Thank you.
As a matter of fact, if anybody would like it, we'll take just a few minutes break. Anybody, whatever they have to do, and we'll be back, okay? Just make it 3 or 4 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you're here, so definitely my cut.
Yeah, no, I just can't leave it off. Yeah.
Hello.
All right, Nick, I asked everyone to hold, and they've now used that time to take a run. They'll be right back.
Say that again? I'm on.
Yes, when I had to wait a minute for you to come back on, everyone's taking advantage of the 1 minute break. They'll be right back on.
Oh, good. Okay. Is there a way to look, are the items going to be displayed on screen as we go through them, or should I pull them up?
You should pull them up,
Okay.
because what he displays on screen, you can't see anyway.
Actually, usually I can, but I'll pull them up. It's no big
Well, maybe it's just me, because I'm doing it on my phone instead of a computer.
Could be. I'll get to it. Take just a second. Hey Dave, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Where are the amendments stored, the PDF versions of the amendments that we saved, or are they in Word?
They're in, all the amendments are in the cloud under Charter Amendments 2020.
Oh, okay. Oh, there they are. And I can't remember, I think we stored them in both,
We
Word.
did. They're both in Word and in PDF.
okay, good. But there are, oh boy, there are, oh boy. How do you find the ones that,
Can you access your email?
yeah,
Because if you can access your email, I sent an email to Ed this morning with all the resolutions attached to it.
oh, with the amendment attached to each one?
Correct.
Oh, good. Okay, and I was copied on that, so.
Yes. Yeah, that went to Ed and you and Joanne.
About what time was that?
Before 10 o'clock.
Okay, good.
Okay, I think we may have everybody back. So, Ms. Dixon, we've read your proposed amendment, so if you would kindly give an explanation, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, I'll be very happy to do so. I would request, however, after I do this, that we would take each portion of the amendment that I'm submitting in pieces, because as a bundle, there may be something that is objectionable, but other parts of the amendment may have a lot of merit, but it would go down in a vote because someone may find something objectionable. It's what happened when we looked at the Charter Review Commission amendments, because some of the things were bundled and some pieces had a lot of merit to them. So I'd like to get to that.
Let me just clarify that with our solicitor, if that's possible. This amendment has been put forward as a one amendment. Is it possible for us to break it apart like that, solicitor?
It depends on the specific amendment. I'd really have to look at it.
Which cover?
I'm prepared to talk about individual sections and the sections in the charter which would be applicable. So I think it's doable, but I'm happy to discuss the whole amendment first, if that's the way you would like it, Mr. President.
Yeah, why don't we discuss the whole amendment, and
Okay.
then solicitor can look over and see why you're explaining it, and let us know whether we can attack this on an individual basis or it's a whole amendment change. Okay, so go ahead, Ann, if you would be so kind.
Certainly. Article 8.16, Section A and B, call for public hearings before, as the budgets are being presented. We have an issue because oftentimes the school committee budget or the school budget is on the same evening as the municipal budget. And the last time we had this combination, there were people who felt that not enough time was given to the school budget. So this amendment, 816 A and B, specifically calls out at least one hearing for the school committee's budget and one hearing for the municipal budget. There can be more than two hearings, but it says that there will be separate hearings, at least one separate hearing for each one. And I think that that would be advisable, because that way we could give full attention and hearing to both of those budgets. Okay, so that's one section. Section 818 has to do with the town financial meeting, section A, B, C, and 1 and 2. And I am recommending elimination of the town financial meeting. Right now, the town financial meeting is occurring after the town council votes, and then only 2 days before the referendum. So virtually, there is very, very little attendance at the town financial meeting. The people in attendance are not able to make any kinds of amendments or changes to the budget. And I don't think that it is serving a useful purpose in its present form. So I'm suggesting the elimination of the town financial meeting in Article 818, ABC 1 and 2. In order to provide input for the townspeople, if we're going to eliminate the town financial meeting, I am proposing a change to section 816, it's number C. And in this particular article, I'm using a model that is used in North Kingstown, in which the town council would have a preliminary vote on the budget. Then the townspeople would be allowed to get petitions in which they would come before the town council, and the petition would have at least 50 signatures on it with certified registered voters. And they would be able to say, you know, we would like you to reconsider this particular budget vote that you have just made. The town council would be free to accept or reject any of the suggestions, but it does provide an opportunity for the townspeople in a very manageable way to let their views be known, and there is some backing to that because they have to get some signatures to back up those petitions. So that's 816C. So that still preserves an opportunity for the townspeople to give input and feedback to the council. Once that feedback is given to the council then makes their final vote and decision, and that would be going to a referendum. And 818, 123A and new section F, that calls for the continuation of the referendum. So in summary, 816A and B calls for a separate hearing for the school budget and a separate hearing for the municipal budget, at least one separate one for each of those. 816C calls for petitions that would occur between 2 votes of the town council, so that the townspeople would still have an opportunity to give feedback. 818, town financial meeting, it eliminates the town financial meeting because it's not serving any useful purpose as a way by which we would get some meaningful feedback from the voters, and that's section A, B, C, 1 and 2. And 818 is retention of the referendum, sections 1, 2, 3, and new section A and F. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm ready to answer any questions.
Okay, what I'd like to do is, actually, why don't we do that? Are there any questions concerning Ms. Bacon's, Ms. Dixon's amendments or requests for a change? Any council members have any questions, any concerns? Okay, Mr. Cody?
Mrs. Dixon, how many signatures would be required for an amendment to the budget to be suggested to the council?
It wouldn't be an amendment, it would simply be a petition that is presented by the person who is putting forth the petition, and it would say, you know, I believe that the municipal budget should be increased by $100,000, and it would have 50 signatures on it. There would be a discussion, and the town council would then be free to either accept or reject that particular petition. And that's how it's done in North Kingstown.
Did you say 50 signatures?
Yes.
How much time would be scheduled between these meetings for those 50 signatures to be acquired?
That is not part of the proposal. That would have to be worked out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, see, Councilman Bacon has a question.
I do. These 50 signatures, will they be electors of the town?
Yes.
Does it specify this? Because I'm just looking for it in here. It says
It should say certified voters.
Okay, does it?
Hey, no less than
They
50
have to be
hours.
verified by the Board of Canvassers. So I think implicit in that is that they are determined by the Board of Canvassers to be electors. It also says those qualified electors of the town.
Okay.
The article that has to do with hearings and the elimination of the town financial meeting and the petitions could all be approved by you if we did it separately. And the referendum, I mean, I know Kerry is interested, has submitted an amendment to eliminate the town financial meeting and the referendum. So I do believe that we need separate votes on the referendum and the town financial meeting. So most of my recommended amendment would still be very valuable whether or not a referendum stays or goes. That's
Okay.
why I'm recommending separate votes on each one.
But when it comes,
Any other questions?
Deb, you have another question?
Well, I think it's more, it's not a question, it's more of a concern. You're asking now if people they want to amend anything in the budget. Now they actually have to go out, people work, and now they have to go out and get 50 signatures. And we all know how long that takes. So now, if it's an active person, this is going to take up weeknights, it's going to take up a weekend or two. It's going to be very time consuming. So what happens for special interests? They will have no problem being able to get 50 signatures. So now just the average citizen will not be able to make any changes. This will just come down to special interest groups that will be having that. I'm really concerned with that.
I'd like to respond to that. The average citizen can come to any hearing. The average citizen is able to get up and speak before any vote is taken. So that opportunity is always available at the hearings that we would hold. And there'll be at least 2 hearings or more, one for the school and one for the municipal budget. The average citizen always has that opportunity to speak. Right now, we've got some people who are very vocal. They're on Facebook or they're on some other social media. And it appears that their voice is the voice of the community. And I'm trying to provide an opportunity by which people are able to give input in some kind of measured way if we eliminate the town financial meeting.
Well, don't you think they have that opportunity also, just like the average citizen? I think this is giving special interest groups a lot more power and could really manipulate a budget. That's what I'm concerned with this. So I didn't have a question, I just wanted to make a statement.
And allow me to make a statement. I have the same concerns. I mean, I'm all for the time for the people to get involved in the budget hearings, to give us ideas. It will make the special interest groups have no problem going out and getting the signatures. I think it's opening up to, we realize in the past how the financial town meetings have gotten so out of hand with a lot of foolish presentations when the people are upset and not educating themselves on the budget as much as they should be. And you're opening this up to cause the same thing, and we're trying to eliminate it and streamline it a little bit. But I understand, we've heard your explanation. So if there's no other questions concerning C8, we'll go on to C9, Madam Clerk. I'm sorry, we had C7. We'll go on to C8, please.
Resolution with proposed ballot question for amendment to Town Charter Section 8.18, adoption of operating and capital improvement budgets. Charter Section 8.19, amendments after adoption. Charter Section 8.30, levy and assessment of taxes. Charter Section 8.50, borrowing, tax anticipation notes. And Charter Section 8.51, revenue anticipation notes.
Okay, my reason for bringing this charter change request to the council is that I, along with other members of the council, were disappointed with the low voter turnout at our all-day referendum, which coincidentally cost the town about $25,000 to put on. I understand that people get caught up with life, but only approximately 8% of the eligible voters exercise their right to vote on this most important issue. That is about 2,000 out of 25,000 eligible voters. 92% of our voters just didn't care what happened with our budget. A lot of hard work and time went into presenting a 0% increase budget. As long as the voters do not vote and special interest groups control the outcome of our elections, the town will never be able to be in a good financial position. I have been listening to our future council members and potential members grandstanding and accusing me of trying to take away voters' rights. It is quite the opposite. The voters obviously do not exercise their right. I believe that the elected officials who are well versed on the budget, who the voters voted for to represent them, should be the people that should vote, to approve your budget. This is done in many towns in our state and across the country. The voters have plenty of opportunity to work with their elected officials at budget workshops and hearings. If you do not like what your elected officials put forward for your budget, then vote them out of office. I believe that this is the most fiscally responsible thing to do for the town of Coventry. The council members do not want to raise taxes, but we want people to maintain their standard of living and to get your money's worth. I do not take it personal if this does not pass. I am leaving in November. I just want to leave the town in a better position than we are in now. I have been through many financial town meetings and many votes, and I was really floored at the fact that we presented a 0% increase and people did not come out and vote. If we raise taxes, us as council members also pay the taxes. That's the last thing we want to do. So mine's pretty simple, cut and dry. A lot of towns do it. I want the elected officials to have the ability. Unfortunately, not enough of our the people, voters in town exercise their right to vote, and they are allowing special interests. So we can't have an approval of both of these. I will certainly open it up to any questions. I think I was pretty cut and dry with it, but I see Councilman Cody is asking some questions, raising his hand, so go ahead.
Mr. President, I actually don't have a question, but I have a statement to make. I don't want this to be misconstrued by either you or Councilwoman Dixon as any disrespect at all, because I would never disrespect either one of yous. But you are not going to live to see the day that I would ever vote to do away with our financial town meeting. I understand the sentiment of what both of you council members are proposing. I understand why this is being proposed. Me and you have spoken. I was as frustrated and disappointed at the voter turnout as you were. We've had discussions about this, but I cannot, in good conscience, take away a financial town meeting that I think the taxpayers have every right to get up and voice their opinion, whether it brings change to the budget or not. I believe that is the taxpayers' right in the town of Coventry to be able to get up and voice their opinion and tell the council exactly what direction they thought we should have gone in. And I cannot, in good conscience, support either one of these resolutions. And that's not meant as any disrespect to you, Kerry, or any disrespect to Ann. I don't want it to be taken that way, but this is how I feel. And as a council member, I'm going to voice how I feel. So with that.
Yeah, there's no disrespect taken, and I'm certainly not trying to eliminate any voter from having an opportunity to speak. I'm just encouraging the voters to show up at budget hearings, voice their opinions on the budget prior to, and then we can go. Then when we decide on the budget, it's all settled, and we've got the majority or as many people who are concerned to show up to the hearings. That's only my point.
No, Kerry, I understand that, and with the voter turnout for this last referendum, I understand the sentiment. You know how I felt about it. But I think we need a town financial meeting, and I think I know we need an all-day referendum. The governor gave us that right this time. We could have set the budget and moved forward, and I spoke out against it right away as soon as it was brought to the table, because I don't think that that's the way, I don't think that's the direction Coventry should be going in. And that's just me, and I had to voice my opinion. So thank you very much for the time. I appreciate it.
No problem. No offense taken. No problem. Okay, Mr. Dixon?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cody. Always appreciate different points of view. I'm still going to ask for each section of my amendment to be voted on separately, because I do believe that there are some pieces of it that are not controversial, that would be very good way for us to improve getting feedback, especially having a hearing specifically for the schools and a hearing specifically for the municipal government. Secondly, when we had a town financial meeting and people would be going into the auditorium or the gym at the Coventry High School, then people were able to make amendments and make changes. And you all know what happens sometimes. The last time we did that, we started with 900 people. We ended up with 300 people at about 1 o'clock in the morning. And so it was a very, very small number of people who were making decisions for the entire town. And so I do agree with Kerry that the council people are voted. We have the authority to make decisions about the budget, and we should be willing to do that. I don't see that the current town financial meeting in its present time sequence, after the council votes and only 2 days before a referendum, serves any useful purpose. I think hearings serve useful purposes, and that's before the council votes. And that's where you can really make some impact on the council's decision. But once a council makes a decision and you've only got 2 days left to go to a referendum, I don't think that the town financial meeting, the way it is written now in the charter, is very useful to us at all. So I would recommend not voting for, voting against continuing the town financial meeting. The referendum, I do understand what Kerry is saying, that we should be able to be held accountable. We're only one of 17 communities out of 39 communities that have either a referendum and or town financial meeting. And there are many places even smaller than us that have put the vote in or responsibility in the hands of their town council. So it's not unusual for this to happen in a state our size. But I do want to go back to a vote individually for each of these items.
Okay, and I'm going to see, Councilman Baker, do you have any comments or any questions?
I just have a comment. Gary, well said. I agree with you on every point. I think, Kerry, your change, I understand where you're coming from, but I think a change so drastic to our charter really needed public hearings. We needed to, I would like to have seen input from the public. If this had gone through Charter Review Committee, and then once it came to council, have public hearings, at least 2 on something like this, because this would change a major part of our charter. And that is a huge concern of mine. And I would have liked to have heard from the public on this one. So Gary, again, well said. And I agree 100% with Gary on all this.
Right, no problem. Like I said, I don't take it for just trying to, I'm leaving in November. I'm just trying to make it easier for the next council. It would be much easier, more efficient, but I have no problem. That's why we have 5 council members. So
I'm not leaving. I'll go whatever, however the vote goes. I will be here.
The position we're in now is we cannot vote for both of them, obviously. So I'm going to ask our solicitor, because of Councilwoman Dixon's request, is it legitimate, legal, whatever, to break that resolution or those amendments individually to vote on, or does it get voted on as presented on the agenda?
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, certainly the amendment that you proposed, which was to several sections, should be voted on separate than from the proposal made by Councilwoman Dixon. That should be, each should get a separate vote. But I think Councilmember Dixon's question was, in essence, is her amendment divisible such that each section can be voted as a freestanding component of her proposal? And the answer to that is yes. Just by way of example, let me just switch over on my screen so I can explain this. Councilmember Dixon has made a proposal that includes amendment to section 816, 818, and 819. And as I understand what she's saying, she would like a vote on the amendments that are contained in section 816 separately.
Yes.
Do I have that right?
To start with, yes.
Okay.
That has to do with the hearings.
Right. There's one thing that should be done if the chair is willing to allow that. It is up to the chair, but I am telling you that it meets the criteria under parliamentary rules, which is if it's divisible, the request can be made, and then it's up to the president. So it's certainly appropriate. On section C of section, the new section C, midway through that paragraph of section 816, it says date to be inserted. This is the date by which the 50 signatures have to be submitted to the town council. We should probably make sure that that date is inserted tonight and make it part of the vote. The reason for that is it's a charter amendment. It has to go to the Secretary of State. You can make that addition right now if you want. I would suggest directly after the council finishes its business under section, actually it would be after the town council adopts the after preliminary approval, Councilwoman Dixon. So it would be sometime after what's written in section B as amended, which is when the town council has a public hearing on the budget. I think sometime very shortly after that, you should insert a date in section C. Does that make any sense?
It probably would have to be within 2 weeks.
So I would say,
We couldn't wait for 4 weeks. We couldn't wait for a whole month.
no, I think that would interfere with the financial town meeting. That's what I'm trying to balance here.
What I'm trying to do is have the town council make a preliminary vote on the budget. And then they can get feedback, whether it's through petition or just feedback, they can get feedback. And then the council makes a second vote. That provides time for feedback between the two votes and also time for feedback previous to a vote during the hearings. What I want to do is to eliminate the town financial meeting because it serves no purpose whatsoever after the council votes and only 2 days before the referendum. But I want to provide ample time for the voters to be able to provide feedback at both the hearing and after a preliminary vote by the council. That, to me, is the most important thing.
Well, I would pick a date that is at least a week before the final vote by the council, final adoption of the budget by the council. I might need some help from the town manager on this. Mr. Town Manager, when is it necessary that the council vote on the final adoption of the budget?
You want to speak?
Thank you. I shouldn't forget that. It's always been based on working backwards from the date of the FTM and the date of the all-day referendum. This would push it back even further by at least another 2 weeks. It would also, if there were changes made, I'm looking at the way this goes, we then have to do another publication before it goes to the state for approval.
No, I think I'm not sure it would require that. I think what Councilmember Dixon is saying is that sometime shortly before the final adoption of the budget, the council will consider and vote upon each of the petitions submitted. So the question is, what date should the petitions be submitted?
What I'm saying, Nick, is
Yeah.
I really believe it's going to require a change in the entire time frame that's set up, because this posting to the newspaper is always done after the final vote, and then before the final vote, and then we have to present that to the Office of Municipal Finance. They have to approve it. It kicks back, and then from there, we've got to go into the FTM and the all day. So I'm assuming we'd have to move everything back, but I would think you're going to need at least 2 weeks if you're going to do that. You're going to need a 14-day period to add on to that.
So 14 days before. Oh,
Mr. President,
Yes.
I think we could be wasting a lot of time here if neither one of these are going to pass.
I'm getting that impression myself, so
We could be wasting a lot of time trying to figure out dates on an amendment that's not even going to get a second, or that possibly couldn't pass. Isn't this something that could be done if the amendment passes?
Yes, I believe it can, because I'm getting
let's see if we get a second.
I'm getting the impression that my amendment that I put in on C8, C8, there's no flavor for that. So what I'm going to do is, because we are wasting a lot of time, I don't know if either one of these are going to pass. So let's put a vote out to any of them that you're in favor of. That way, and then we'll vote on not having the second one, because we have to make a vote. Yes, and Deb, you have a.
I just have questions on Ann's, on 8.16B. Are we able to ask any questions about that, or are we going to do that when we start voting?
I think you could ask questions now.
Okay. So I have a question. Is this going to be, is this intended for 2 public hearings? The town council will have their own and the school department would have their own. So would there be a requirement for a joint hearing?
The charter calls for hearings. What I'm saying that at least one will be for the school and one will be for the municipal government. If there are other hearings, that could be joint or they could be separate. But right now, we're not having any kind of separate hearings, and this caused a lot of problems this time around. And it has caused problems in the past because the school feels that it is not getting due consideration and time.
I also have a question.
Yes.
You say that the proposed budget, that a person shall be heard and shall be allowed to question in detail the town council, town manager, any department head, school committee, and the superintendent of schools. What about the finance directors for both the town and the school?
That would be fine. I thought we put that in, when I talked to Nick, we took the language from the North Kingston Charter. We certainly.
Okay, because I don't see anything about the finance directors. And also, do the school principals now submit budgets? Do they create and submit budgets? Because if they do, like we have our department heads, should we also include school principals at this?
School principals could be asked, could be included. I think that is up to the school department who is running its own hearing.
Yeah, we have no
They
say.
have to be present.
No, but what I'm questioning is, do they create budget? Do they create their budgets now? Is there? I think that's something that they create and submit their own budgets.
I believe that they are responsible for their own budgets. Yes.
Okay.
In
So
managing them.
I think we would need to add finance directors, school principals also. Anyone who's submitting the budgets. I think that.
Okay, and here again, that's the school hearing.
The school hearing, yes.
Try to eliminate a lot of this.
But we direct in the charter for our town department heads, and why couldn't we Why can't the people ask questions to the school principals if they're creating their budgets and submitting them?
Well, the superintendent is
And
the
that's
finance director, are the ones actually putting the budget together. So they get, as like our town manager gets, information from the department heads that are needed. Here again, we just approve it. The schools are the ones that run their own budget hearings and take it.
And I understand that, and we're putting it in the charter, so I think, to go give the people more. So I would be in favor of adding that to it.
Okay. I don't know if we have enough to get either one of these on. So let me, I'm seeing that C8, which is the one that I had proposed. Doesn't look to me as though there's a flavor of it. So I'm going to entertain a motion for approval of that one. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to get it on the board, to get it on the table.
We have a motion to get it on the table. Do we have a second? We have no second. Okay, motion fails. I will take a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Harry McGee,
I say yes.
No, but if we didn't get a second, Gary, I don't think we can vote on it.
All right. You're correct. I'm sorry. So we didn't get a second, so motion fails. So my charter amendment is off the table. That would be a C8. So that's going to make it a little bit easier. The next one, I'm sorry. Yeah, the next one was Ann Dixon. So we want you, Mr. Solicitor. You said we have the opportunity to break that one up. Do we vote on it first to see if it's even going to pass, and then break it up? I want to do it right.
I believe that is correct, Mr. President. That is, you need a second on the proposal as a whole before you can begin dividing it.
Okay, then let's do that. We'll go to item, I believe it's C7. The chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Gary, give me a second so that we can break this up, please.
We have no second, so the motion fails. All right, so thank you very much for both that we attempted to. The next council will have to do the same things that we had done, and we were trying to make it easier for them. But I can't thank you very much, Dan, for attempting, but that's why we have 5 council members.
I would like to thank Mr. Gorham, who worked with me very diligently to frame this amendment and took a lot of his time to make sure that we had all the pieces correct, and we checked with the North Kingstown Charter. So I do want to thank him very much publicly for helping me. Thank you.
I also, too, thank you for putting that together for me. It was just an attempt to, to make it easier down the road, but not a problem. It's up to the people. So, okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda would be, let's see, item C9. Madam Clerk.
resolution with proposed ballot question for amendment to Town Charter Section 8.18, adoption of operating and capital improvement budgets.
Okay, I see Councilwoman Bacon made this amendment, so I'm going to ask for an explanation from Councilwoman Bacon. Did you hear Councilwoman Bacon?
Yep. I think she's frozen.
Well, it's at a special financial town meeting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Excuse me.
You're frozen.
Start over again, because I think we may have missed a couple, seconds of what you were saying.
okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. It's pretty simple. Right now, how the charter is written, if the budget fails, the town council shall propose an alternate budget to be considered at a special financial town meeting. Unfortunately, it does not guide the council to when we shall present a budget. So I had just put in, to get it on the agenda, I had put in within 30 days. I would like to amend that after having a conversation with Mr. Arnett and Edward Zika, that I would like to amend that to 60 days to give more time. So that is it. I just wanted to go, and I noticed that in the charter that is, right now, we have no time frame to when to present a new budget, especially after what happened this year.
Okay, if I can make a comment on that, it doesn't say a time limit now in the charter, and I don't, what we do is revert back to the previous year's budget, and we take the time necessary to prepare a budget. It doesn't say we have to jump through hoops and do it in 30 days, 60 days. We can take our time to do a correct budget as the mess we're in this particular time. So that's just my thoughts on it. I'm going to open it up to any other council members.
Mr. President, I'm concerned about it having a location of the Coventry High School at 7 o'clock. We know that there are considerations of whether that high school will have its gym floors replaced, etc. There's no guarantee that we'll be able to meet in the high school, and I'm concerned.
And that's not.
I haven't finished.
Let them refer the questions to me. I'll keep them on me.
I'm concerned about even that section and whether it should be amended so that we would take out the location, because that is going to be very problematic. But I know that's not part of her amendment, but I just would mention that we could possibly amend this suggestion or proposal to take out the location. Okay.
Okay, does any other council members have any comments?
I do have a question about the 60 days. Please explain the rationale for the proposal being within 60 days.
To me or Mr. Ed, to...
Well, you presented it, so tell me again.
I presented it and I had a conversation, and it would allow additional time. It would, so if Mr. Warzik would like to speak, I don't know if Mr. Arnett is even on.
What is the downside of putting in 60 days or any number of days in the charter? I need to know the downside or the con of it.
It simply puts us under the clock to get something done and back in front of the public in a limited time frame. The con of it could be with the time limit. If in a case like this year, if you're waiting to find out what's going on, there's still additional information that has to come out from the state and additional funding sources, then it would put you under the requirement of doing it prior to all of that information coming out. The other part of that, you could go a full year and never put something out in front of the public again. And I mean, so is that appropriate as well? Again, that's up to the thing. 60 days is I think a reasonable. 90 would be a little bit better, but 60 works. I think it's good. It would take effect next year. Obviously, it wouldn't change anything on this year. The other part of this is a very late budget this year because we kept pushing it off, waiting and hoping we'd have more data. So in years past, we've always put these things back out in a month, in 30 days. But putting it in, you're going to mandate that they have to get something back out there, and it may not be appropriate in that time frame due to what's going on.
And can I make a comment on, just to reiterate what the town manager is saying, I think with this year as a prime example, why I'm kind of against it is because we have so many uncertainties and we don't know when and if this is going to get better. It's really difficult to be forced into a budget within the time constraints and not knowing with still a lot of uncertainties. So that being said, is there any other council members who have any comments, any questions? Okay, seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion.
Make that motion to change it, to put that forward with the change to 60 days.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, we do not have a second. The motion failed. Okay, next item, I believe Councilwoman Bacon, I think there was another one, item C10.
Yes, this is just, again, just giving some clarification in the charter. This had gone before the town council in previous years also, just making sure that the charter review committee members are not town employees, elected officials. Also, it clarifies that the appointment shall be 6 months. It'll be a 6-month term. It's just adding some clarification into the charter.
Okay, any comments, concerns with that?
I have a question, may I? This particular time schedule that we had, We vetted people in January. Because we had unusual circumstances, the group did not get started. We did allow them to go through July. They didn't really have quite 6 months. So what is the situation in which you appoint someone for 6 months, but in order to get an amendment before the voters, does that mean that they just continue on even if they've made the recommendations for the ballot? They just continue on until the 6 months is over? How will that work?
Well, it states that the term will begin when the committee, the town council, appoints them. And
Right.
normally, in the past, I mean, you've sat on the charter review committee as I, and normally you're appointed usually in the fall. You're not appointed in January. You're usually, between October, November, and you get started. And then you go those 6 months when we have to meet with the council, typically June and July, and then everything gets off to the state. So you work backwards with that. So that's basically it. It's just giving them some clarification. The appointment begins the day that the clock starts ticking, the day that they are appointed by the town council.
I think it's wonderful to give clarification, so I think that that's a very good thought on your part. We were trying to appoint people back in November. We just couldn't get 9 people to volunteer, and by the time January rolled around, we finally had 9, and then we had 2 more, so then we had 11 people to vet. But what my question is if 6 months takes place and they've already made their recommendations to the town council, because for whatever reason, we have to make a decision so that amendments get on the ballot, what happens to those people who have a term for 6 months? Do they just continue till the 6 months runs out? Is that how you see it working?
Well, I guess when the town council appoints, you take that into consideration that their term will end June or July. I mean, if they want to meet afterwards and everything has been presented to the council, and if it moves forward and goes on to the state, I mean, they could meet, but I'm not sure the purpose of it, because at that point, you've already missed the deadline to submit everything to the state. Do you know what I'm saying with that? I mean, the deadline, I believe it's this Wednesday, everything has to be submitted to the state. So
Correct.
Charter Review Committee wants to meet, I guess they could, but what would be the purpose for meeting when their work is already done? It's already on the way to the state. So I guess, what would their purpose be after that?
I'm just asking the question. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Okay, if I may, I have a concern also. It is the responsibility of each council that comes on and the leadership of the council to decide if they need or if they wish to have a charter review commission put together. There really is probably not a need when a new council it's going to happen in November, gets on to form a charter review commission right away we had quite a problem trying to get 11 people to serve on the board, and the limiting like this, I think it's the goal of the actual sitting council to decide if a charter review commission is necessary and at what time to appoint it. Granted, this year we were later, we put a lot of pressure on everybody, and it shouldn't happen that way, but I don't think it warrants getting somebody on a charter review commission together right as soon as a new council gets on. So
but this charter amendment doesn't say that, because it still has the language in there that if deemed necessary. So it doesn't state that we shall appoint with a new council. This is just stating that when the town council appoints, once it's by resolution, we appoint them, that's when the clock starts ticking. This is not saying that every time a council comes on that we appoint a charter review committee. The language in there is still if it's deemed necessary. So it would still be up to the town council if it's necessary to have a charter review committee. This is just making very specific that 6 month time. That's all.
all right. Is there any other comments or any other questions from council members? Okay, seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion.
I make
Yep.
that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second,
We have a second. All in favor, Madam Clerk?
Harry McGee,
No.
Gary Cody,
Aye.
Ann Dixon,
Yes.
Deb Bacon.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. The next item on the agenda would be item C10. Madam Clerk, would you please so kind?
Report from Charter Review Committee and recommendations to council for ballot questions therefrom, including revisions to the following charter sections.
Okay, I think that we have Kimberly Schott with us. Good evening, Kimberly. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, and I believe we all can hear you, I think. What I'd like to do is, we had this discussion a couple of weeks back, and I know you met with the Charter Review Commission to review and reword some of the concerns that some of the council members have. So maybe we could take them one at a time and review any changes. And I think we'll vote on each one separately as discussion. So why don't we start out with section 301 and 401, the term for council school committee positions, term limits.
All right. Thank you. We were able to get feedback from the town council and the school committee, which we really appreciate that we had time to do that. So for section 3.01, we've limited our change for term limits. That any person who is elected to the town council shall serve no more than 2 4-year terms consecutively. Thereafter, he or she shall be ineligible to serve as a town council member until the passage of 4 years.
Okay, and that was a concern, because I think previously you stated 2 years. So, okay, I'm going to open up any questions, concerns from any council members. Oh, I don't see any, so the chair is going to entertain a motion on this particular, just stay on term limits for charter amendment.
I make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
We have a second. All in favor?
Mary McGee,
No.
Gary Cody,
No.
Ann Dixon,
Yes.
and Deb Bacon.
Yes.
Okay, the motion does not carry 2-2 vote. Okay, the next item would be 401, I believe. Could you explain? I'm sorry, that was for both.
I think you were voting on both, but I'm not positive.
Yes, let me just check. I believe we do have it on both. I should have had this in order. So I think we'll do the same thing for the school committee of 401. So the chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Madam Clerk?
Mary McGee,
Mr. President,
Yes.
I just make a comment.
Yes.
Okay, I did listen to the school committee meeting, the last school committee meeting, and they were in favor of term limits for the school committee.
I was
Okay.
just going to mention that, yeah.
So I just want to bring that feedback back to you. I think it'd be a little strange to have term limit for school committee and not town council. However, the school committee was in favor of it. I just want to pass that on to you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Shockey, anything else to say on that?
I wanted to point out the same thing as Councilwoman Dixon just did, just to say that when speaking to the school committee, they were in favor of the proposal.
Okay, and I understand their point, but like we had stated before, that it's so difficult to find people to run for office, and for that reason, that and I've stated several times, if there was a lot of people wanting these positions, it would be different. We have a hard time filling them. So, okay, with that being said, the chair will entertain a motion.
I make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
And Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Mary McGee,
No.
Gary Cody,
No.
Ann Dixon,
Yes.
Deb Bacon.
Yes.
Okay, motion does not carry on a 2-2 vote. Okay, the next item would section 315 procedure. Will you be so kind as to explain that, Ms. Shockley?
Yes, we've also limited the scope of 3.15 and made a proposal to amend in order to afford the greatest level of public participation in the business of the town of Coventry. All town council meetings, except those convened solely for executive session purposes, shall have on the agenda a provision and opportunity for public comment. The Charter Review Committee understands that this council chooses to make that part of each agenda, and we appreciate it, and we think it is a good standard to set, and we would like to make sure that no town council in the future could take that public comment away.
Okay, any discussion from any council members?
I've always seen public comment available on an agenda that we have, just as it is on the agenda for the school committee. I think the original proposal was that there be public comment before every discussion or every vote. And that was a slightly different proposal to us than this one. This one, I'm not sure I see the need for it because we already have it in our rules and we also have it on every single agenda. So it's not something new, different. So I'm not sure what would be the value of adding it to the charter when we already follow this process. So, Mr. Shockley, maybe you could give us a little more information.
Yeah, like I said, we appreciate that it is currently a part of every agenda, and we actually took note of that. And that's why we decided not to eliminate this section completely from our amendments, because while our preference would have been that public comment, it was ratified that it could go before a vote. Without that being able to be amended in that way, we still want to make sure that while public comment currently is on every agenda, that it will continue to be.
Okay, are there any other questions concerning this?
Mr. President, if I may.
Yes. Yeah, I see Deb hand up first. Let me get Deb's hand. Go ahead, Deb.
Oh, okay. This question is for Dave D'Agostino. Dave, I believe that the town council, it's not a right to have public comment. It's a privilege, basically. So am I correct in saying that when we have our council meetings, we do not have to have public comment on those agendas, correct?
That is correct. The Open Meetings Act does not require public comment at public meetings. Under the Open Meetings Act, as a threshold, the public is allowed to watch the public body do its business. So a public comment is not something that is a requirement under state statute. Obviously, we've heard mentioned it's been allowed under the council rules, and it's done here and there as well. Just to reiterate what Chair Shockley expressed, the committee that proposed this was just trying to get the widest amount of transparency and engagement for the public.
Yes, because the way it's set up right now, I mean, yes, we do have it on there, but another council could come on and completely take that off. However, if it's in the charter, now they will be forced to have it on the agenda.
That's correct.
I want folks to know that, right now how it is, we don't have any, we can opt not to put it on, but we do. So, and I think a lot of folks don't understand the Open Meetings Act either. So I just wanted that to be clarified. Thank you.
And here again, I think that is the option of the leadership of the council and of each council that's in of when and if they want to have public comment. So I don't feel as though that needs to be a charter amendment. I just think that it's the councils that can make that choice in the future. So with that being said, if there are any more questions, I think Mr. Cody, you had a comment on that?
Well, I just wanted to comment, Mr. President, that I can remember councils in the recent past in the town of Coventry that didn't have public comment on the agenda. And I remember talking to taxpayers about it, and they didn't understand why, and they really looked forward to having a public comment on the agenda. I don't support it before every question or every vote that the council takes, but I absolutely support public comment at every council meeting. I think the public should have a voice. So, but Ann said she didn't understand why we needed it. Well, I remember when there was councils that did not have public comment as part of their agenda. So I think that's why Ms. Shockley and her committee came up with this amendment to the charter.
Okay, with that being said, I guess we're the chair entertain a motion.
I make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second it.
We have a second. All in favor?
Harry
Madam
McGee,
Clerk? No.
Gary Cody,
Yes.
Ann Dixon,
Yes?
Deb Bacon,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. The next item is the powers and duties. I think we covered that one, 407. I can't seem to find that one on my page.
Actually, as a committee, we chose not to, Ed put that on in, out of caution, but we chose not to move forward with 4.07 or 5.04 at this time.
Okay.
It seems as if, in looking further, the charter wasn't necessarily where we would want to make that sort of change.
Okay, and the next one would be section 1430.
5.03, actually.
I'm sorry?
We didn't do 4.07 or 5.04, but we did make an amendment to 5.03 to propose.
Okay, so we're going to do section 14.30, public comments at boards and commissions.
No, 5.03, Mr. Clerk.
Barkley, you be so kind as to give an explanation on that one.
I'm actually, if you don't mind, 5.03, just to keep us in order. We did make an amendment to 5.03 if approved.
Okay, if you want to cover that one first, that's fine.
Just to stay in the correct order. So the way the charter currently reads, no interim appointment shall last more than 180 days. And why we'd originally made a change to this is because our current acting town manager has been going beyond that period of time. And we just wanted to solidify in the charter that under certain circumstances, that was fine to have the acting town manager continue to get to remain in his position. We changed it according to direction by Attorney D'Agostino, just to put in there the exact ways in which you can be conducting a search process. So the wording we used was, in the event of a search process for replacing the town manager, the town council shall have the right to extend the appointment of the acting town manager appointed pursuant to this section for 6 months at a time, provided that the council is engaged in a search to hire a new town manager, either directly or through a duly constituted subcommittee or through the engagement of the contracted services of a recruiter. According to Attorney D'Agostino, those are the only 3 ways in which a search can be conducted. So we specified those ways in order to define a search. And then we also changed interim to acting just to have the same wording everywhere, according to what Councilwoman Bacon had mentioned at our last meeting.
Okay, my point on that is that we currently do that now. I mean,
It's not what it says in the charter.
well, it says in the charter is 180, but we're currently doing, if we're actively, we got a legal opinion on it, if we were actively searching, which we are, that we were able to, I mean, it doesn't matter, I'm not against this, it's just that we're currently doing it now. I just don't, really see a need for a charter, but, look, we want to find a new town manager as bad as anybody else, but it's been difficult. But any other comments from any other council members? Yes, Ms. Dixon.
I remember that we've had several discussions in which we looked at the charter and it said we could only appoint an acting town manager for 6 months. And then we found ourselves at the end of 6 months. And then we asked Mr. Gorham, can we do it again? Can we do it again? And he said, well, I believe you can do it again because you are actively searching for a manager. And that was his legal opinion. However, it was not in the charter, and we just assumed that, we didn't have much choice and we could continue to do that. So I think it is a good idea to allow this change to the charter because it does standardize what we are already doing, but it was sort of an unspoken agreement that we were allowed to do that.
Okay, any other comments from any other council members? Okay, with that being said, Chair,
Make the motion.
we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second it.
All in favor? Madam Clerk?
Harry McGee,
Yes.
Gary Cody,
Yes.
Ann Dixon,
Yes.
Deb Bacon.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next item on the agenda. My paperwork is a little bit mixed up here, so I'm gonna look at section Yeah, we have so much paperwork, trying to keep them in.
It was a bit confusing with the change.
Yes, it is. Okay, the next one I believe is 504. Am I correct, Ms. Sharkey?
And we actually chose not to present that, not to represent that.
Okay, and so the only other one would be is 14.30. Is that correct?
Yes, and this is also about public comment required outside of the town council at all public meetings of boards and commissions. Once again, in order to afford the greatest level of public participation in the business of the town of Coventry, all boards and commissions established pursuant to the town charter, except any meeting convened solely for executive session purposes, shall have on the agenda a provision and opportunity for public comment. The same thought process. I don't know that all boards and commissions currently do this, but if they don't, we feel it should be part of each meeting, and if they do, then we just want to cement it in the charter.
Okay, and here again, I think that most of the chairmans and leaders of the particular boards and commissions run the meeting and have the option to have public hearing when and if they desire. And so I just don't think that it should be, my personal opinion, I don't think it should be a charter amendment. However, any other comment from any other, excuse me, from any other council members? Okay, seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion.
I make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
We have a second. All in favor, Madam Clerk?
Mary McGee,
No.
Gary Cody,
No.
Ann Dixon,
Yes.
Deb Bacon.
Yes.
Okay, motion does carry a 2-2 vote. Okay, I believe that's it. Ms. Shockley, once again, I thank you and the Charter Review Commission for the work you put into this, and we got a few amendments changed, and that's good. I know you guys had a lot of meetings, and there was a lot of hard work put into this, but I appreciate the time.
No, we really appreciate that we had the opportunity to come back and represent after getting feedback from both you and the school committee. So thank you very much for your time tonight.
Okay, you're very welcome. Okay, the next item on the agenda is public comment. The manager, do we have anybody looking for public comment?
Currently have 26 people on. I see no one with their hand raised. We have one. We have Claire Murray. Mrs. Murray, you have the floor. Please state your name, spell your last name, and state your address, please, for the record.
My name is Claire Murray, Murray, at 82 Doolittle Street in Coventry. I just had a question regarding the budget proposal that, excuse me, Mrs. Bacon brought up with the 60 days. So are you, by not presenting or voting no, does that mean that this zero budget that you have presented and that was voted down, you could essentially carry this through the whole year before it would be presented again?
Ms. Murray,
And
could I?
just go by the past year budget?
Excuse me, Ms. Murray, this is just public comment. We're not going to answer questions, but you're welcome to make a comment on that, whether you're for or against it, but this is not a question and answer session.
Okay, then I guess I would say that I'm certainly not for carrying this budget thing throughout the whole next year, waiting to get presented with a new budget to vote on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Murray. Anybody else, Mr.
Yes, we do. We have Mike B. Mike, state your full name, spell your last name, please, and your address.
Mike Bro, 22 Jennifer Lane.
Okay,
Can
go
you hear
ahead.
me?
Yes, we
All
can
right.
hear.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the police cars. I know it's a 508 area code. Do we have anybody that's local that could have did that?
Here again, we're not, this is public comment. We're
Oh,
not
that's right. Okay.
We had questions concerning that earlier with the police chief, so we're not really, able to answer that, but you can make a comment, please.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we couldn't speak before with him on,
Yeah,
All right, thanks.
thank you. Mr. Manager, anybody else?
At this point, I have no one else with a hand raised.
Okay, the chair entertains makes motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
We have a second. All in favor, Madam Clerk?
Harry McGee,
Yes.
Gary Cody,
Yes.
Ian Dixon,
Yes.
Deb Bacon.
Yes.
Okay, I thank you very much, everybody, and have a safe week. And we'll, because we need another meeting, I believe the next meeting will be August 17th. I believe is going to be our next meeting. So we're still in discussions with that. But anyway, be safe and enjoy your summer.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.